listening to Yes, Quit Your Day Job, Real Talk for music industry creatives. In this episode, we're joined by William Zimmerman, founder of Mooncoil Media, a PR and visual branding force behind some of the most compelling artists in underground music. We'll talk about the power of aesthetic, what it really means to connect with your audience, and how to build a long-term presence in a niche scene. Here's your host, Seven Dunbar.
Welcome back to Yes, Quit Your Day Job. My guest today is somebody who works behind the scenes but plays a crucial role in how your favorite underground artists look, feel, and get noticed. William Zimmerman is founder of Mooncoil Media, a PR and branding company that's helped shape the modern face of goth, post-punk, and industrial music. We're talking about how to build a band's identity, how to remix culture, keep scenes alive, and yes, we're getting into it. So welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Good to finally talk to you.
Yeah. It's we've been trying to set this up for a minute, so I'm glad we were able to. Let's start with the origin story. What made you want to launch Mooncoil Media in the first place?
It was almost actually by accident. I mean, you'd have to go back to I was working like traditional jobs. Like I was, for example, 12 years in the healthcare industry.
Oh, wow.
But the thing is that, I have a background as an artist. I have a background as a writer. It actually kind of went from being an artist back, I think, the mid to late 90s.
Okay.
And then I started writing a blog. And from the blog writing, I came across this PR company in Iowa that I started kind of working with, like part-time, doing mostly like goth industrial. Like I would get called in for those kind of bands. After a while, I said, I got to be my own boss and do my own thing. And so that's what I started doing under a previous name before this one. And then I left the healthcare industry for a place that I thought I was going to like doing something for in town here.
Okay.
And after a month at the height of COVID, I ended up leaving February 9th, 2021, actually.
Wow.
Because they wanted me to do something that amounted to interstate fraud, something very unethical. And I walked in and I said, I'm not doing it. So it was almost by accident that I started doing the Mooncoil thing by, from that day. Very scary, but fortunately I had been building a little bit of a reputation, so that allowed me to jump in full time. So
yeah. I mean, I will say I knew about you by reputation before I think we ever spoke, and it definitely in a good way. Like, bands talk. It's one thing. I don't know if people realize, but all the bands talk to each other, and I heard from other bands when we were launching our, with my band, our stuff. Everybody kept mentioning you. I think that's how we connected. I kept hearing really, really good things. So, yeah, that reputation definitely is good.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I mean, nobody's perfect, but it kind of goes back to, really, it sounds stupid, but like what we were taught in kindergarten, treat people the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
And it's that simple. And it's kind of like, my grandpa had his own company, and that's kind of how he ran it. That's why he was a successful businessman up in the New Jersey area. Nice. He treated people the way he wanted to be treated. So it's really that simple.
It's amazing how far that goes. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine who's a musician. He came through here on tour a couple days ago, and we were able to connect, and we were talking about that on the bus of how like it is such a small industry, and reputation matters so much. Whether if you're an asshole, people aren't going to book you. You're not going to get gigs. The word about that gets around pretty quick. And in your case, I think it's the exact opposite. If you're a good person and you're a good person to work with, and people not only enjoy the work you do, but they enjoy you, just working with you, that'll also go a long way. So
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
people, not just in the music industry, but in business in general, people are so focused on transactions.
Yeah.
What's going to get, yeah, everybody wants to be paid, but they're just so worried about like transactions and not so much relationships. There's kind of like this idea, I tell people it's like if you put the R before P in PR, the P will follow,
Yeah.
And it's really, I don't know. I just try to kind of maintain that attitude. And for some people, they keep referring people to me and coming back. Most
Yeah.
people anyway.
Yeah. I
So,
my business, as far as doing like a lot of, audio engineering and music producing is, I think probably almost 100% referrals at this point. Outside of posting and talking about what I'm working on, I don't like advertise in any traditional sense or anything
yeah.
like that.
And in a sense, that almost, that really kind of means more than, paying somebody however much money a month to set up an ad, It's
Yeah.
humbling.
Yeah. When you first started, what was one thing you got wrong or had to learn the hard way?
With this company? Or
Or just
like,
in general in your career, yeah.
oh man, one thing I got wrong. Oh, okay, yeah, I know. So like when you do PR and you send out emails, yeah, you have to have a specialty, but you also kind of have to branch out of like, for example, I focus on, the goth industrial, dark wave, post-punk people, as you know.
Yeah.
But there's also other groups that I have like in my email programs and my promos that I sent out. And it's really easy to find a bunch of contacts, load them up into MailChimp, emails and first name, last name, that type of thing. It's very, very easy to upload a load of contacts and send out a press release and think that you're going to get replies. But it doesn't work like that. It kind of goes back to the relationship thing.
Yeah.
You really almost have to, go one by one by one by one. I mean, like if you looked at my DJ list, for example, there's almost 500 people on my DJ list, and probably about 95 to 98% of those, I went straight to the DJ, one by one by one, asking permission. You really just, I learned pretty quickly outside of the goth industrial post-punk arena that, getting outside your circle and getting to know people that's key if you're going to succeed in this business.
Yeah.
So you can't just load up a bunch of contacts and think that you're going to get results. It just doesn't happen that way.
No, it's all about cultivating relationships. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
When we first started, not first started talking, but a couple of days ago when we were, getting ready for this interview and stuff, you told me to look up Voice of God.
Yeah.
22 disciples. Is this where it all started? What was it about that performance that made you want me to like take a look at that before us talking?
Yeah, that was important because I can actually pinpoint the moment where somebody introduced me to industrial music. And one of my classmates in high school was like, hey, you got to go check out this band in St. Louis called Voice of God. And I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Sounds interesting.
Sure.
I walk in the club, and this was a local band that would pack out 1,000 capacity venues in town.
Wow.
I walked in there, and the whole thing is just like, it was set up kind of like a pulpit, very, very theatrical. And this was the early 90s, so, and it was after I walked in, and I thought, where the hell's the drum set at? I wasn't used to bands like using backing for like percussion and samples and stuff. And This was kind of funny. This was so old school that the band's backing was actually on a reel-to-reel tape.
Okay.
If you can imagine that, instead of like nobody had like an iPod or like a laptop or anything back there.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know if I've seen reel to reel, but I've definitely seen Like, I mean, DAT tapes were a big,
Yeah.
the digital audio tapes. That was kind of when I was a kid and first coming into live performance, you had a DAT player, and then it went from there to iPods. Actually, I used to use iPods and have two iPods, and you hit play at the same time, and one is your backup and the other is your main, and cross your fingers and hope for the best.
Yeah, when I was doing music for a little bit, we actually, you remember the format mini disc?
I do.
Yeah, it was it's kind of obscure now, but yeah, we used mini disc for our backing. That didn't last very long, but
they had recordable mini discs.
Yeah.
I don't remember. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How much time would you get on that? Like lengthwise?
Enough for a full set, I think. I think it was, maybe 60, 70 minutes or something at least.
Oh, wow. I mean, I remember the discs. I remember somebody gave me Pearl Jam on mini disc as like a Christmas present or something one year, and I had the mini disc, but I didn't have a player, and I had no idea what to do with it, so I just had it. Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about visuals. What's the first thing you look for when helping a band shape their image?
The first thing I look for is photos. I've had bands send me professional photo shoot quality photos. The most perfect probably being, I'm sure you probably know Jeremy Saffer. He's probably the best photographer in our community.
God, he's so good. Yeah.
Bloody outstanding. And I've also had artists send me like screenshots from their phone.
Okay.
Like not even an iPhone. Where you could actually see like the numbers and stuff at the top. And I'm like, listen, I can't use this.
This is why they have you, though, to guide them and tell them that. Yeah,
and I mean, I always kind of tell people that there's artists on one side of the spectrum sometimes, and then there's businessmen on the other side. And sometimes, those two are very far apart, and sometimes they're not. Sometimes they kind of meet in the center, but yeah, I mean, I don't know if guiding is the right word, but I guess that's as good a word as any, because, when somebody opens a press release, you want to see, like, okay, this is the person that I'm reading about. So, impact is important. Lighting is important. I mean, that's one thing I learned from my art history classes is, like, when you look at a painting or a photo, where is your eyes going straight to?
Sure.
You don't want, like, photo of a guy way in the background. So that's kind of the first thing. The other thing that I look for is when people send me text. One thing that we like to do is kind of try to present something as a story. Like, I don't just want to read, okay, band A comes out with this album. It's like this single precedes this album. I want to, what's the story? How is it going to affect me? What can I identify with?
Yeah.
One thing I try not to do is post a headline that says something like I said, Band A drops this album on this date. I'd rather put out something that says like an impactful headline. Why should I open this press release? Either the media people, the bloggers, and the zine owners get dozens and dozens and dozens of these things every day, if not hundreds.
I was going to say, at a minimum, they get hundreds, and it's when you're sending something like that, even if it's not a cold email, even if you have a relationship with them, how do you get their interest and get them to go more than a couple seconds into whatever it is you're showing them? That is definitely the trick.
Yeah, and I mean, first it's a catchy headline, and then when they open it, it's usually best to put like an artist's photo at the top. And then I tell people, with press releases, kind of read them like a resume. The eye goes down the left-hand side, and has to be shortened to the point, kind of, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. How much should a band do themselves versus hiring somebody like you? Like, where's the line there?
My best campaigns happen when the band doesn't want to do it all themselves, really when they have their crap together.
Yeah.
Ideally, like before we do a campaign, I'll give somebody like an asset list. Like, these are all the things that I need to do the job that you're paying me to do. And, if they have things prepared like a bio, an EPK, the most important thing is the blurb about the release, some photo options, the audio files, 9 times out of 10, there's no problem.
Good.
There have been cases where you kind of have to, I pick my words carefully here. I guess you could say, like, help them specify, like, what's going to get the job done. So, I don't know. But, if they're willing to work and they don't want me to do everything, then those always are the best.
Okay.
You're listening to Yes, Quit Your Day Job with guest William Zimmerman of Mooncoil Media. If you're enjoying the show, be sure to follow, rate, and share this episode with a fellow creative. For more content, visit yesquityourdayjob.com. Let's get back into it.
Working in goth industrial post-punk space, it's different from traditional PR, I'm assuming. What are some unique challenges?
Man, that's a good one. I mean, specific to the goth industrial post-punk people?
Yeah, like, are there any challenges that exist specifically in those genres or in those communities?
Okay, I mean, it's a little bit different. Like, so I do both PR, like traditional PR, and then I do, like, with some acts, there's artist management.
Yeah.
Okay, and our artist management structure is basically like for the bands I deal with on, that have a consistent content plan that are month to month to month to month. And within the artist management arena, there's been some real challenges because, you get into things that, not just traditional press. I mean, talking about, like, there's been things where I've had somebody take one of my artists, threaten lawsuits. I've had them blow up inboxes claiming that they stole artwork. I've had situations where people said some real controversial stuff during COVID. There was a lot of nasty gossip, mud throwing. It's a little bit different when you step over into, like, the management arena as opposed to just sending out press releases trying to get results.
Yeah,
So,
there's always drama in the goth scene, right?
yeah, but I mean, it's not exclusive to the goth scene too. I mean, there's also, there's a lot of gossip and stuff, but, especially over the last few years, I gotta tell you, I've seen a sense of community, like, especially, like, during and after COVID, I've seen a sense of community like I've never seen.
Nice.
Every negative, there's a positive. So
Yeah.
it's a very, very strong community.
Yeah. Is it harder now to get eyes on, like, a niche genre like that, or is it easier because of how social media has changed the landscape?
And in some ways, both.
Okay.
There's a lot of, like, experimenting with what works and what doesn't. Like, traditional advertising doesn't seem like it works anymore. There's a learning curve with, like, meta ads and things like that. There's always a trick, like, algorithms changing. It's always changing, like, with when's a good idea to send the press releases out or the promos. You just kind of, like, the challenge is always being on your toes, finding out, when should I send these out? When should I not? sometimes people don't like saying, hey, or they don't like hearing, hey, it's not a good idea for you to send stuff out near Halloween because your release is going to get drowned in the other 150,000 albums that are coming out around then. But either way, we do the best we can, you know.
Very cool. You told me, as we were prepping for this, you'd mentioned a story with you and Christian Death. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh God, which one? There's a bunch of them.
Any of them, any that you'd like.
That thing I was referring to earlier, with them being threatened with a lawsuit, would probably be the one. I don't know how many. I'm sure a lot of people know that they had a pretty infamous cover with the album "Sex and Drugs and Jesus Christ."
Sure.
Where they had, the figure of Jesus shooting up or whatever.
Yeah.
Germany didn't want that cover. They had it was just like, I don't know, it was a very plain cover. It was like gold writing on black or something. And the band didn't actually want that, but Germany didn't want, the controversial cover.
Sure.
So we start noticing this woman claiming that the band was like stealing her artwork. And she was like posting in the fan club group and just setting their inbox on fire with like, oh, I'm going to sue you guys. And it was funny because like the artwork that she was claiming was her own. I kept looking at it and I'm like, why the hell does this look familiar? This is not original. And so then my art history degree kicked in and I'm like, wait a minute. That's the three-headed Christ from back in the Renaissance or Baroque periods or whatever. So what ended up happening is I went online. I found a picture of this three-headed Christ figure from, I think it was, I don't know, somebody in the Renaissance. It was like not a tribute to a particular painter. Okay. And we posted that, and all of a sudden the threat stopped. So that was fun.
I was going to say that feels like it's not exactly in the job description when it comes to PR. Did that moment change how you like approach the safety and boundaries with your artists?
Not really. I mean, I'm always very, very protective of, my artists. Some lean on me more than others. And that was a case where, I mean, the band is very, very independent, and I was just happy to be there to kind of help a little bit.
Sure.
So,
do you ever burn out? What do you do to recharge when everything starts to feel too heavy? I imagine in situations like that, it could. Yeah.
That's a good question because, I'm my own boss and I work from home. Yeah, I burn out pretty frequently. And I mean, let's be honest, but to recharge, I get up from my desk. I go read, I go play with the dog. I balance my days so that I get up early enough and I can do, I can take breaks or I can stop at a certain time. It's not about doing these 12-hour marathon job shifts or anything like that. Sometimes in the morning what I'll do is I have a goal of reading something new and listening to something new so that each day it starts with the same activity of like listening to music or reading something or writing something in a journal. So those are the same, but to listen to something new, to write something new, to read something new kind of starts with a little bit of inspiration,
Yeah.
And then you just kind of break up the day from there. Just gotta walk away for a little while.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yes, I mean, so like outside of music and work, what inspires you creatively? Like reading, or you just mentioned a little bit like that inspiration. What inspires you?
Family time.
Nice.
Family time. They're the reason why I get up in the morning. Yeah. And, Yeah, secondary to that, I guess you could say reading.
Okay.
So,
Any
journaling every now and again.
Are you reading any good books right now?
Yeah, there's a few. One of them's it's a pretty popular book called Atomic Habits. There's another one. It's called Buy Back Your Time. The author is escaping me right now. There's about 5 or 6 I'm going through at the moment. There's another one by, I'm sure you've heard of, Salman Rushdie.
Yep.
It was a book that he wrote after the attempted assassination on his life
Wow.
a little while back. I feel like there's another one too. I don't know. I can't think of it at the moment, but those are the main ones, yeah.
Nice. Mooncoil has evolved a lot over the years. What's something you've changed in how you work or who you work with?
I don't know if there's a lot of change. I mean, there's been some team building. I've kind of realized I can't do everything myself, and
Yeah.
you got to get to the point where you're willing to take things and give them to other people to handle. I mean, when I first started doing this for first time, full time, it was just me.
Yeah.
And, if you had told me that a few years later, I would have 2 assistants, both of whom are DJs, an attorney, a business advisor, and an accountant, I would say you're crazy. This is about team building, really.
Very cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
there's one thing that I studied in grad school. It's called servant leadership.
Okay.
And it's basically about tapping into the things that, the people that work with you and under you, kind of tapping into their strengths and encourage them to be good at what they are. And I try to keep that in mind. Like my assistants are both DJs. So, like, I'll give them things to do that are, like, DJ related sometimes. Distribute Bandcamp codes and things of that nature. So.
Okay. If somebody listening wants to still be doing music 10 years from now, what's one mindset shift they need to make?
Be sure you stay on your toes. I mean, you can't keep, there's so many things like now. It's not like, when we were growing up in the 90s or the early 2000s, algorithms change. You can't just get away with posting, every day, every week, work on engagement. You're not going to get anywhere if you just post and hope for replies and put up an ad.
I think that brings us back to...
What's that?
Oh, I was going to say, I think that brings back to what you were talking about before with building relationships.
Yeah, I mean, you engage, and that helps, not only with relationships, it helps with the algorithms too. So, get out of the mindset of thinking that you can just post something and your metrics are going to go up,
Yeah.
And, the other thing too is that, a lot of people, they might not really have a release plan. They might just say, hey, I've got an LP coming out. Well, maybe start thinking about a prolonged, like, release strategy, not just the LP mindset, something every couple of months, if possible, like a teaser, a video, a lyric video, an EP, a remix, and so on.
Yeah.
So consistent
that makes a
content
lot
if
of
possible.
sense. What's something you're excited about for the future, personally or professionally?
I mean, some of the artists in our community right now, it's just some of the stuff that they're putting out is just, like, mind-blowing. I
In
thought
a good way or
about...
bad way?
What's that?
In a good way or a bad way?
In a tremendously good way. I mean, there's artists out right now that are just, like, for example, Dependent Records in Germany has an artist on there called Fixate Sedate. It's a solo project, and it's like I really believe that this guy is probably his name is Martin Saint. I really believe that he's like probably the most brilliant artist right now in our community.
Wow. To check that out.
Yeah, he's it sounds a little bit like maybe early 2000s, late 90s stuff coming out of Germany, but it's also pretty genre bending too. I think I'm going to be working with Dependent on doing promo for that, so super excited about that. Also, I'm thinking about, like, we kind of have a inactive label branch of the company right now, and there's a couple releases on there. And I heard some stuff recently that the ink hasn't dried yet, but there's a band that has approached me about doing a label release, and it's kind of inspired me to maybe reopen the label thing again.
Yeah. Wow.
So hopefully that works out, and we'll have some label news and some other news soon. So
Yeah, definitely keep me posted on that. I'm interested in seeing what's going on there. What's one piece of advice you have for that, like, you wish every band took to heart?
Refuse to give up. Refuse to give up, but at the same time, people have this idea that failure is like finite. That's the end of the road. But I kind of have this belief that failure's not the end. It's like it should be cyclical, like our learning curve. Welcome things to come in your way that are going to be a problem, because without problems and challenges, you don't learn.
Yeah.
You get a big block in the road. It just creates two more ways to go around.
I think that's been a reoccurring theme with our guests, that, the concept that failure is a gift, that you have that opportunity to learn where you may not be able to do that any other way. It really, you kind of need that to be able to succeed.
Yeah, and sometimes it's easier said than done, because, we're all humans, and it does bring us down when things happen.
Sure.
But, if you have the attitude of, well, what can I learn from this? How can I get better? There's a quote that I like from Winston Churchill. It goes something like, let me see if I get this correctly. It's like, pessimists see difficulty and opportunity. Optimists see opportunity and difficulty.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he also had another quote that says, if you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah.
I think if you kind of merge those two ideas, then you'll be good to go, and just refuse to give up.
Yeah. So that is good advice. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, kind of wrapping things up, is there anything that we didn't cover today, or any questions for me that you might have, or anything that we didn't talk about that you wanted our audience to know or wanted to share?
Nothing really comes to mind at the moment, I don't think.
Okay.
What have you got coming? What are you excited about?
What am I excited about? Man, I got so much going on. I just moved to San Diego, and I'm with Seven Factor, where I just have to finish the vocals. I have an EP and a full album coming out that I did with my buddy Nero from Cyclone 9, and had Tim Skold do the guitars. And I'm working closely with Chris Verena on kind of mixing it and getting it all, on the production side. So I'm excited for that. It's been a couple years in the making.
So you don't sleep much either, right? Basically.
I do, actually. I'm very regimented with like my use of my time and my scheduling.
Yeah.
And sleep is important part of that, where I will schedule in sleep, and I'll shut off my phone, and I'm dead to the world until I want to be.
Yeah. I wish I was like that a little bit more than I am, but, getting better.
It took a long time. I mean, there was a lot of time where I would work nonstop and, 20-hour days and do that for about a week and get really burnt out and then
Right.
kind of be very unproductive for a couple of days trying to recoup and catch up. And it took me a while to figure out if I'm very regimented in not just how I work, but how I relax, I'm more productive at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, that's good advice. It's a good way to do it.
It took a while to figure it out, to be honest. At least, I think you got to figure out what works for you.
Sometimes, we're not getting any younger, so it's like sometimes you don't figure it out until you're a little bit older.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. Well, William, thank you so much for being here.
Sure.
I really enjoyed our time together. I love how much of yourself you bring into the work. It's not just a strategy, but the heart and the loyalty, to the scene. I really, like I said, I knew your reputation before knowing you at all. So it's something I really appreciate. For those listening, how can they check out your work at Mooncoil Media or anything else you got going on? What are, social media, or what are some good places they can reach out to you?
Yeah, I mean, there are all of the social channels, Instagram, Facebook, there's mooncoilmedia.com. This is all I do all day, so I can respond to Messenger pretty quickly. Yeah. Facebook's probably the easiest, but, I'm out there.
Awesome. Well, William, thank you again. It was a pleasure chatting with you today.
Yeah, you too.
That wraps up this episode of Yes, Quit Your Day Job. Huge thanks to William Zimmerman for sharing his journey and insights from behind the scenes of the underground music world. To hear more episodes and access bonus content, head over to yesquityourdayjob.com. Until next time, remember, the only thing more painful than failing is not trying.